In high school, Chad gave me a love letter to make Scarlett jealous. I took it seriously, tutoring him so we could go to the same college. Years later at a reunion, he drunkenly yelled at Scarlett, red-eyed. "It's your fault for acting up back then. It was meant for her, so I gave it to her." Later, in a mall fire, he ran off with Scarlett without a second glance. I'm back in high school, facing the love letter and the jeering crowd. I calmly hand it to Scarlett, my desk mate. "Brittany, isn't this for you?" "Just kidding, right?" It's a hot, stuffy evening after the rain, with reddish clouds outside the window. Self-study hasn't started, and the hallway is a mess. I pretend to read, but my palms are sweaty. The suffocating feeling of the fire is still so real. Tyler shouts at the door. "Who's Brittany Davis? Someone's got something for you." A love letter, baby's breath, milk tea, a pretty sincere confession. If they hadn't dragged me into it, I might have cheered them on. Brittany is over there doing math problems like crazy. She really is pretty, cute even when she's mad, no wonder she's the school beauty. The teasing in the class just won't stop. Like last time, she yells at me, annoyed. "Scarlett, he's calling you. Just say yes." Looking at her mocking eyes, I just feel angry. They're having a fight, so why drag me down? I was so dumb back then to take it seriously. It was just a joke. If it was just the scene, I wouldn't be so annoyed. But later, Chad started dating me on purpose to make Scarlett jealous. Every day between classes, he came to find me. When the power went out, he fanned me. I glared at him, and he grinned. "Scarlett, can't I even fan you? The wind wants to blow your way, blame it on the wind, okay?" If I forgot to eat, he'd bring me food without asking. I was shy, and when I said I wouldn't agree to date him, he wouldn't leave. "Scarlett, agreeing to eat is another matter. I'm staying here if you don't eat." He never paid attention in class, but he'd come to me with questions. "Scarlett, there's a big gap between us now, but I'll work hard to get into the same college as you. Wait for me." I was so stupid at that age, so easily moved. I really thought he liked me enough to change himself. I threw my whole senior year into it for him, trying to help him study. He knew all my little girlish thoughts. But he just watched me sink deeper and deeper, then used me to provoke another girl. He used me to prove she cared about him. She used me to prove he liked her. That's why he found someone like me to make her jealous. Their emotional entanglement was built on people like me. Thinking of all this, I look at Brittany and say sarcastically, "I don't have a little star nickname, my name is Scarlett O'Hara." Brittany and her friends liked to use nicknames with repeated characters. There were too many people teasing back then, plus they pretended to be confused, so I didn't realize it. My voice isn't loud, but everyone around me hears it. Everyone starts teasing Brittany. "Brittany, go get the love letter. Why use your desk mate as a shield?" Someone even laughs at her. She slams her workbook down, blurting out, "It's not for me anyway. Who would like someone like him?" Chad walks in with a basketball, hearing those words. His face looks even worse than last time. He puts down the basketball, picks up the love letter, and walks up to me. "Scarlett, will you be with me?" The class explodes again. This time is different from last time. Last time, his buddy threw the love letter on my desk. Later, Scarlett ignored him, so he came after me, the tool. So it wasn't so embarrassing back then, except for them, no one knew the love letter was for Scarlett. And the love letter didn't have a name, just 2 stars drawn on it. I thought he was trying to get close to me on purpose. I never thought I wasn't the little star he was talking about. "No!" I look at him calmly. "It's okay, I'll keep pursuing you until you say yes." He pretends to be deep, like he's got me all figured out. Brittany is crying her eyes out next to me. Just then, Miss Emily Carter walks in. She looks at the noisy classroom and the baby's breath on the desk, and taps on the desk. "What's going on?" The classroom goes silent immediately. She's supposed to come in half an hour. Why is she early? I'm the one who brought her here. This afternoon, I purposely asked her a super hard math question when she was busy. She agreed to come early during self-study to explain it to me. I timed it so she'd run into the scene. I want to make a big deal, to embarrass them. In my past life, Chad and I got together after the college entrance exam, and we were reported for dating early in senior year. The report went straight to the principal, and as an example, we had to give a public apology on the stage on Monday. I lost all my face in that life. Even worse, my mom found out and slapped me hard, calling me shameless. Since the beginning of high school, my mom had emphasized not dating early, saying that studying was the only way out for families like ours. I didn't know how to answer her. As a result, I spent my last few months of senior year caught up in the mess at home and school, and I messed up my college entrance exam. Chad did well because I tutored him for over a year. In the end, we went to the same college. When I got my acceptance letter, the teacher asked me, disappointed, was it worth it? I still remember, the only "I'm sorry" Chad said was when he saw the slap mark on my face. But was that the only thing he was sorry for? After the college entrance exam, during those years in college, he had countless opportunities to explain clearly. Wasn't my youth too? Didn't I deserve to be genuinely liked? I never understood who reported us. The students in the class were also anxious. After all, it wasn't an all-girls school, it was easy to find a reason to report early dating. Everyone even wanted to steal the report from the principal's office to compare handwriting. Chad stopped them. Forget it, the college entrance exam is more important. During that time, he came to see me more often, and his mood was unusually good. I thought he had a good attitude. Later, when I went to pick up my acceptance letter, a few students were cleaning the principal's office. I helped out on a whim and found the report in the corner. The handwriting was exactly the same as Brittany's. I was stunned. I thought we were okay, why would she do this? What did she get out of reporting me and embarrassing her? I picked up the letter to show Chad, he just comforted me. Maybe she had a problem with you back then. It's been so long, there's no point in talking about it. I didn't say anything, and he pinched my cheek. I didn't know our Scarlett was so petty. Petty? After this happened, my mom talked about it almost every day. I lived under pressure in the eyes of others, and in his eyes, it was just a small thing. But people always lie to themselves. At the time, I thought he just thought it had been too long, there was no point in pursuing it. But now that I think about it, when he saw the report, was he thinking about the shame of us being dragged onto the stage, or was he worried that everyone would find out it was Scarlett who reported it and caused trouble for her? Like the time he was in such a good mood that he treated everyone, it wasn't to comfort me, it was just that I, the tool, was finally useful, and the person he was thinking about finally started to care about him. I was too stupid back then, I didn't even think about it. After all, who would treat feelings like a joke? Thinking about it carefully, their plan was full of holes. After the reporting incident, Chad often bought me milk tea, and Scarlett too. But she always threw her cup straight into the trash. I thought she didn't like Chad, so I didn't think too much about it. Then, when it was time to change seats, she told me privately that she wanted to sit with someone else. I thought we wouldn't be desk mates anymore, but then she acted like nothing happened and sat with me again. I even joked with my friends. Looks like my desk mate doesn't hate me, she hates Chad. I even told Chad this, telling him not to bully classmates in the future. Looking back, he must have been thrilled, right? After all, I, the tool, proved once again how much the girl he cared about him. The more I think about it, the more disgusted I feel. Who did I offend? I just wanted to date, and I ran into such a pair of freaks. Fine, you want to play, right? This time, let's see who plays whom to death. The teacher asked who the baby's breath was for. Brittany, with red eyes, pointed softly at me and said, "For Scarlet." I couldn't hold back anymore. I deliberately said loudly, "Have you pretended enough? You know who it's for." I completely enraged Chad, and he glared at me coldly. "Heh. No more pretending. Right." Seeing him like this, he still has the nerve to come to me? To save them face, the teacher took us to the office. She sat in her chair and looked at Chad. "Tell me, what's going on?" Brittany cried even harder. Her family was strict, and she was afraid her parents would find out about her dating. But she clearly knew my family was the same, and she even wrote the report, watching me get surrounded by the whole school on the stage, watching my mom rush over anxiously. In the office, Brittany lowered her head, tears dripping on the ground. She nervously picked at her nails. I watched coldly, like an outsider watching a play. My attitude seemed to enrage Chad even more. He'd always been confident, and with his face, getting girls was always easy. He glanced at me provocatively. "I like Scarlet. It has nothing to do with her." Brittany finally breathed a sigh of relief. "Okay, they're disgusting to this extent. Do they think this is some touching love story? To protect you, I pull an irrelevant person to take the blame. Do you know how much I like you now?" Heh, I laughed out loud. Chad glared at me again. I rolled my eyes and directly retorted, "You're not touched by your own actions, are you? Honestly, who likes whom? What does it matter to me? But at least be a man, dare to do it, dare to admit it, okay? Do you dare to swear that the little star was for me? Did you even spell my name right, you illiterate? Scarlet, don't make personal attacks." The teacher held back her laughter. I've lived 2 lives, and I'm still stuck in these 2 idiots' hands. I might as well just end it myself. I pretended to be extremely angry, even squeezing out a few tears. "Who's making personal attacks? Teacher, who did I offend by going to school? Dare to do it, but don't dare to admit it? Still want me to take the blame? Giving a love letter can't be done casually, right? There are cameras everywhere on campus. They can see who's close to whom. It's not like you can just accuse me out of nowhere. My family is strict. I can have my mom come and watch the cameras together. I haven't had any contact with this classmate recently." As soon as I mentioned calling my parents, Brittany panicked. She cried and said, "Teacher, it was for me. I'm just afraid of dating." Hilarious, Chad was completely dumbfounded. After all, taking the blame willingly was his idiotic heroism. Being forced to take it only made him seem more pathetic. Chad was stunned, looked at Brittany, and clenched his fists coldly and said, "Teacher, I was bothering Brittany. Don't blame her." I rolled my eyes next to him. "What are you looking at?" He turned his head and glared at me. "Teacher, he's yelling at me." I looked at the teacher pitifully. Chad's eyes became more and more fierce. I didn't care and continued, "So Chad is trying to frame me on purpose to protect Brittany, the one he likes?" Chad didn't say anything, but his eyes were still very unfriendly. "Teacher, we're just here to study. What if I didn't clear my name today?" My eyes were red with grievance. Ms. Emily Carter put her arm around my shoulders and looked at Chad and Brittany. "No matter what's going on between you, at least you shouldn't drag innocent people into it. You owe Scarlet an apology." 2 lifetimes combined, and I finally got their unwilling apologies. The rest had nothing to do with me. I left the office and went back to the classroom. The next day, their parents were called in. We don't know the specific outcome, but Brittany was finally not my desk mate anymore. Her eyes were swollen these days. She must have cried a lot. The funniest thing was that during class, Ms. Emily Carter said something sarcastic. "It's normal to have feelings at this age, but girls, your teacher is telling you, when you look for a boyfriend in the future, character is the most important. Think about it, if he can drag innocent people into the water, will he treat you well in the future? It's the same for boys. If the girl you like accuses others, does she really deserve your love?" The teacher's language skills were good. This indirect criticism made Brittany almost wipe the table with her tears, and Chad glared at me countless times. My eyes were sore from rolling them so much. I didn't actively tell my classmates what happened, but everyone knew what happened that night. So after class, they became the laughingstock of the whole class. Chad, I won't watch the melodramas unless you're the screenwriter. Aren't you touched to death by your own actions? Why are some people crying? Isn't it you who framed others while dating? Do you also think your love is dirty? She doesn't just cry, she also points her boyfriend to her desk mate. How scary. Brittany couldn't listen anymore and ran out. Chad walked straight to my desk and threw my workbook away. Are you done yet? He leaned his hands on the desk and glared at me. I raised my hand and slapped him, and before he could react, I stabbed the pen hard into the back of his hand. If you don't go after others, is it because you don't dare to? Do I owe you two? I looked him in the eye and asked coldly. Okay. You just wait. He left these words and turned to leave. A few kind classmates were afraid that Chad would retaliate against me and offered to walk me home. I'm a day student, and my mom rented a house next to the school to take care of me. Self-study ends at 9:30 p.m., and after Chad said that, everyone was worried about me. I smiled, not caring at all. Everyone is a classmate. Chad probably won't go that far. Humph. I'm only afraid he won't come. And I want to see where his bottom line is. A few days later, Chad's follower came to pass a message asking me to apologize to Brittany, and that would be the end of it, or I'd have to bear the consequences. I deliberately provoked them. What consequences? I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, in this new life, I've been holding back a lot of anger, not just from being deceived, but also from the feelings, time, and energy wasted on him over the years. The idea of revenge has been swirling in my head for days. Finally, on a Friday night, I was walking home as usual, and Chad's people stopped me at the alley. Brittany was next to him, cautiously holding his arm. Forget it, Chad. I don't want you to get hurt again because of me. Chad gently patted her hand. It's okay, I know what I'm doing. He walked closer and closer, backing me into a corner. Scarlett, don't be so calculating at such a young age. We're all classmates. As long as you apologize to Brittany, it'll be over. I looked up at his thug-like appearance and carefully recalled the years we were together, and I only felt disgusted. I had added too many filters to him before. He's always been like this, self-righteous. I mouthed to him, idiot. He got angry as expected. You mother cur. As soon as the words left his mouth, he raised his fist and swung it at me. I closed my eyes, afraid he wouldn't make a move. However, things didn't go as I wished. His fist didn't land on me, it just hit the wall next to me. He was stunned, there was even some hurt in his eyes. At this moment, sirens sounded. His buddies ran, but some were caught. Chad looked at the police next to him, and then at me. You did this on purpose. I ignored him and shouted, Officer, save me. In the end, he didn't hit me, and even argued that he wanted to pursue me, and there were no cameras there. But he and his buddies harassed me and were caught on the spot, and were still locked up in the police station for a few days of education. After the school found out about this, Chad also received a punishment of probation. After returning to school, I thought he would continue to make trouble, and I really wanted to send him to the police station. But he suddenly chickened out, just calling me a scheming woman, saying he couldn't afford to mess with me, and he could avoid me. He also said that I deliberately set a trap to hurt him. At that time, palace dramas were popular, and they said that I was so scheming that I would definitely survive to the last episode in the palace. I directly retorted, yes, yes, yes. He's the most innocent, so innocent that he almost hit a female student in the middle of the night, and then blames others for calling 911. Does he need to be indulged? So innocent, he even framed me. How scary! They soon shut up. So boring, I was waiting for the next round. In this new life, I'm not just here for revenge, of course. My mom saves my New Year's money every year, and she also gave me the card. Over the years, there's actually more than $4,000 in the card. I even set the password. Thanks to my past life, I have some experience in stock trading, plus I have the ability to foresee the future, and I multiplied it dozens of times in half a semester. I didn't hide it from my mom when I took the money out. My dad left early, and it's not easy for her to support the family alone. I made up a lot of reasons, saying that I started with simulations, and then found that I guessed correctly with a high probability, so I took a gamble. Anyway, I put her at ease. With this money, my mom and I have a much easier life. Soon, the World Cup came, and I gambled even more. After a month, I had accumulated wealth that I couldn't even imagine in my previous life. Suddenly, I felt that this was the meaning of rebirth, of course, to make as much money as possible. As for why I can remember most of the scores so clearly, I have to thank Chad for talking about them so often in my ear in my previous life. In my previous life, my grades were in the top 3 in the class, but I could only rank in the top 20 in the grade. With money, I directly enrolled in one-on-one tutoring classes. During the senior year mock exam, I was already able to rank in the top 5 in the grade. The reason why our school is so strict about early dating is because our area is not well developed, relatively remote, and everyone is quite poor, so studying is the best way out. I don't have any bad intentions towards other students, on the contrary, I have received help from everyone, so I took out some money to support the poor students in the class, and I also asked the teacher to run free tutoring classes. Everyone asked me why I was suddenly so generous, and I said that I won the lottery for $800,000 and I had some left after buying a house, and my mom said that blessings should be shared with everyone. I didn't dare to say too much, after all, I can't show off my wealth. But within my ability, I'm still willing to help the people around me. Chad and Scarlett didn't come to the tutoring classes because of face problems. Of course, more because of their emotional entanglement. This time without my participation, they still didn't get together. They seemed to always have to prove their feelings through others. While we were busy preparing for the college entrance exam, they were still struggling with whether the other liked them. In order to make Chad jealous, Scarlett got together with the school bully from the next school. Chad fought with him for her and was injured in the head and fell into a coma. During that time, Scarlett could be seen crying in the classroom almost every day. The girls next to her comforted her, and she said helplessly, "I really didn't do it on purpose. I thought he didn't like me anymore. I didn't expect him to be able to do that, but we're destined not to be together. My parents won't agree." The more she said, the more outrageous it became, as if they wouldn't live to the end of the college entrance exam. Maybe I'm a little twisted, but I actually think this is a way to regulate life in the final stage of senior year. After all, the college entrance exam is really hard, and only the two of them don't think so. Unexpectedly, Chad returned to school after being discharged from the hospital, and he set his sights on me again. He didn't go to Scarlett to act out a bitter drama, he came to me every day to go crazy. First, he kept staring at me in class, making me feel like I was on pins and needles. As soon as the bell rang, he walked towards me step by step. My friends and I stood ready, and I even had a fruit knife in my hand, thinking about whether this would be considered self-defense. But he suddenly said abruptly, "Scarlett, when are you going to tutor me? We've wasted so much time." Me? My friends, huh? Tutor? Tutor what? I guessed a little bit. This guy probably had a little bit of the memory of his previous life knocked out by a hammer. But what does it matter to me? Does thinking too much make you more stupid? In this kind of relationship, he actually thinks that I will still tutor him? I gave him a cold look. "Who are you?" He felt wronged next to me. "Scarlett, you've changed. Do you need me to call a doctor for you?" "Scarlett, I knew you would still feel sorry for me. I'm really fine now." Me, after being discharged from the hospital, he was even more disgusting. "Psychopaths also need to take medicine and see a doctor. Hasn't anyone told you?" I continued to ridicule. He was stunned, and then just said with hurt eyes, "Sorry. I bothered you." Heh. Bitter drama, he didn't go to his chosen girl for tutoring, but came to me to make a fool of himself. What a crude and shoddy performance. Are the standards for actors so low now? I thought I wouldn't have to see them again soon. After all, there were only 2 months and 10 days left before the college entrance exam. But I didn't expect that these 2 months and 10 days were so difficult to endure. It was like living a year, like sitting on pins and needles, like having a fish bone stuck in my throat. Chad was like his brain was wired wrong, doing some self-touching things every day. When I got to the classroom in the morning, there was his breakfast on the table, and he stood there, looking at me cautiously.
I remember you like to eat these. If you don't like it, I'll go buy something else. Chad, did you take the wrong medicine? Please don't play these boring games with me anymore, otherwise I'm going to send you to the mental hospital or the station, one or the other.
I threatened him. Scarlett, why have you become so cruel? His eyes were a little red. He hasn't cured his red eye disease in 2 lifetimes. I hope he can work to raise money to cure it in this life. But he didn't take my threat seriously and bought me lunch again at noon.
Chad, why don't you go deliver food? You like delivering food so much. This is the right major. You're just trying to ruin me, right? Scarlett, I just hope you can eat well.
Crazy, I really can't stand it. Seeing that I wasn't talking, he continued.
Scarlett, I have the right to be good to whoever I choose.
Crazy, I've given up on reasoning with him and directly contacted the teacher. I'm sorry, my caring teacher, I can only send you a few stock codes to repay you after graduation. I insisted that Chad was harassing me, and the teacher persuaded him a few times, but he still did his own thing. In the end, the school had no choice but to let him study at home. Anyway, these last 2 months are mainly for review and exams, and his probation hasn't been lifted yet. Before leaving, he came to me again, feeling extremely wronged.
Scarlett, do you hate me that much?
I knew what he was talking about, but I pretended not to know.
What are you talking about? If you keep doing this, I'll have to call 911. Scarlett, don't you remember? Last time, you wanted me to go to jail, didn't you? How can you suddenly be so cruel to me? Aren't you disgusted? Who allowed you to call me that? Did I ask you to have people stop me at night? Besides getting more and more stupid, do you have anything else? Oh, no, there's also getting more and more annoying.
I attacked him mercilessly. Although I don't understand why he remembered the things of the previous life and didn't go to Scarlett to renew his relationship, but came to me instead, I won't let go of the opportunity to stab him with a few words.
No! 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 I don't mean that, I am.
He explained in a panic, but didn't know where to start.
Don't look for me anymore, it's really annoying.
Leaving these words, I turned around and went back to the classroom. Chad didn't stay any longer and left the school in dismay. Unexpectedly, Scarlett came to me again.
Is this your scheme? Then you win, he's starting to like you.
Me? Do these 2 psychos think I'm easy to bully? Do they think I'm stupid if I don't get angry?
Is this your IQ? You've won in refreshing my understanding of mental retardation. Why don't you go to drama school? Why do you have to rehearse with me every day? Is fantasy contagious? So you 2 are terminally ill, right? How did I win? Win what? Do you have anything else in your head besides love?
Before I finished scolding, she ran away crying again. Damn it, I'll send you 2 to a mental hospital sooner or later. The difficult days finally came to an end, and the college entrance exam finally came. I was as nervous and excited as my classmates. Although I had experienced it once in my previous life, I could only be considered a loser. This time, I will definitely take back the glory that belongs to me. I was in a good mood all the time until the psycho came to me again, and he once again showed his spirit of self-touching. Scarlett, I wish you a bright future. He gave up the college entrance exam and came to wait for me at the school gate all morning, just to say this. But I was not moved at all.
I'm so good. Shouldn't a bright future be expected? As for you, have you found a good school to repeat? If not, why don't you go to a 5-year vocational program in acting? After all, this is your and her common hobby. As a classmate, I still hope you succeed and act more in dramas in the future. Don't drag innocent people with you, okay?
Scarlett? Do we have to be like this?
Are you and I close?
Not close. Not close. He lowered his head and muttered a few words before turning to leave. I took my pencil case and admission ticket and walked towards the examination room. In this life, I will definitely live a wonderful and happy life. After the college entrance exam, our class had a final gathering, and Chad also came. My classmates and I were having a good time, and he sat beside me, looking at me on his own, still the same old thing, so unlucky, I couldn't be bothered to pay attention to him. But there was also good news, because I made a fortune in this new life, and a few people who dropped out of our class back then finished high school, and I also told them that there was a kind person willing to sponsor them to finish college, who was my mother's former classmate, now a boss. Sigh, it's all made up. The kind person is of course this rich woman. The main thing is that my principle is that I can help people, but I can't cause trouble for myself. After dinner, everyone went to KTV to sing. I'm really stingy. If Chad wants to come, then don't blame me. When it was my turn to sing, I deliberately sang a Korean song that Chad had taught me, which was the theme song of My Sassy Girl. I Believe. Chad had practiced it many times, and it was the song he wanted to sing when he confessed to Scarlett. At the graduation party in the previous life, he sang the song. He obviously sang it to her, but in the end he lied to me that he would sing it to me. Then I was really moved and went to listen to it countless times, and he still pretended not to know and taught me to sing this song calmly. I took the microphone and sang along to the rhythm. He was stunned on the spot and didn't even notice when the glass fell on the ground. After singing, I made an excuse that I had something to do at home and left, and Chad followed me out. I walked in front, and he followed behind, and no one spoke along the way. When I was almost at the gate of my neighborhood, he couldn't help but come over and said with a sob,
Scarlett, you remember, don't you? Remember what? Are you crazy again?
Yes. I'm crazy. I'm going to be driven crazy by you. He approached again, wanting to hug me. I took out the stun gun and pointed it at him. Dare to take another step and see what happens? He raised his hands and explained uneasily.
Scarlett, believe me, I really won't hurt you again. Hey. You think too highly of yourself, don't you? Do you have that ability? To be honest, I'm really annoyed by you, and I feel disgusted as soon as I think of you. Disgusted? The things you've done, aren't they disgusting? Yes. You're right. I won't bother you anymore. He turned and left, and that was the last time we met. Because of the rebirth, I accumulated a lot of known information. After the college entrance exam, I took the money I made from the World Cup and invested in various industries, real estate, the internet, stocks, and funds. During college, I accumulated wealth that I didn't even dare to imagine in my previous life. Sure enough, money flows to those who don't need it. I didn't used to believe in afterlife, destiny, or gods, but with this experience, I began to feel that this money was only temporarily flowing through me. I returned to my economically backward hometown, where I started businesses, opened factories, and invested $50 million to build schools, introducing more teachers and making this place different because of me. This is the meaning of rebirth. I have the information of a prophet. How can I be willing to indulge in irrelevant love and hatred? I should become a better and more powerful person. I heard about Chad again many years later. At that time, I opened a new round of inspirational scholarships in the school, expanding the quota to 100. The classmates in the class that year also came back to be teachers, and she mentioned Chad to me, saying that she didn't know when he started having mental problems and was seeking immortals and worshipping Buddha everywhere, wanting to know if there was an afterlife and whether people would be reborn. What's even more shocking is that the school beauty Scarlett has been with him all the time, saying that she will always get him back. After hearing this, I just smiled faintly. After all, they are just irrelevant people. Knowing how to love is the homework they have to do, and I have my own project. I had a relationship with someone I admired very much, and we are both committed to charity. In this new life, I am very satisfied with myself now. Extra, Chad. When I realized that I was reborn, I was full of joy.
In my previous life, I abandoned Scarlett to save the person I liked the most, and then Scarlett died in that fire. In the end, I didn't get together with Scarlett, and we always drifted apart because of inexplicable things. She was very insecure and always wanted to prove my love. Even after Scarlett was dead, she still kept asking me, "Is it because she's dead that she's more important? Then I can die too." Those words were like a bomb, making me unable to control myself, and I slapped her. She ran out crying, and I called her and sent her messages, but she didn't reply. A month later, she found a new boyfriend. I rushed over to ask her, but I was accidentally knocked down by a car. She ran over and hugged me, saying that she just wanted to know if I still liked her. Do I like her? This question has been entangled between us for almost 10 years. Does she really not know whether I like her or not? I suddenly felt so tired. I needed to do a lot of things to prove that I liked her. Leaving work to come back and cook for her when there was a meeting was liking her. Driving more than 100 kilometers for her, going back and forth to buy her favorite special food, and going home tired was liking her. Fighting other men who liked her until we were bruised and battered was proof of liking her. I felt like I was really tired, and my eyelids were getting heavier and heavier. At that moment, I suddenly thought of Scarlett. She must hate me. As I thought, she really hated me. Even she, who used to love me so much, actually wanted to set me up and send me to jail. I went to her. Her eyes were so indifferent as if we had never met, and those eyes were even full of disgust. I really couldn't accept it. I wanted to go back to the past, but I found that I was the only one left in place, and it was no longer possible between us. Until that night, when that song rang, I rekindled hope. She must be like me, we were both reborn, then she should just hate the things of the previous life. I can compensate her. I followed her home with the last glimmer of hope, and then heard those words that were like a nightmare to me. She said that she didn't want to see me. She felt disgusted as soon as she saw me, and even had extremely disgusting dreams about me, and I was even more disgusting and despicable in the dreams. I knew what she was talking about. Was it just a dream? Would the dream make her so disgusted and so disgusted? But what is real? What is fake? Thanks to the good fortune of the previous life, I also got into college after repeating for a year, but not the same one as her, but I chose the same city as her. It's just that this city is so big, we never met. I went to her school to secretly see her a few times, and she was really different from before. She became very dazzling, no longer a little star. I didn't bother her anymore. According to the memory of the previous life, I seized the remaining information and still made some money, but I often felt that all of this seemed like a dream. When I wake up from the dream, my Scarlett will be by my side, we will decorate a warm home, and she will urge me to study for certificates. But this dream seems to never wake up, and I even suspect that the previous life was the dream. For this reason, I went everywhere to find answers. Unexpectedly, Scarlett actually came to accompany me. She had also changed. She no longer needed me to prove how much I loved her. She just wanted me to go back to the past. But who can go back to the past?